All right, so hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're doing a deep dive on something you guys sent in. It's pretty interesting. We're looking at the link between stress and joint health.
Yeah, it's one of those things where at first glance you're like, wait, what? Stress, like mental stress, affects my joints.
Right. I was a little skeptical too, got to be honest. I mean, stress is like all in your head, and joint pain, well, that's your body, right?
Turns out it's not that simple.
That's definitely not. We got some really fascinating articles on this, including an excerpt from one called How Stress Impacts Joint Health and What You Can Do About It. And let me tell you, the connection is a lot more direct and a lot more surprising than I ever imagined.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of people it really is a surprise. They don't realize that stress can have such a profound impact on, well, pretty much every system in your body, really.
And especially your joints.
Especially your joints, yeah.
So let's break this down. Most people think of stress as like a mental thing, but it turns out it has a huge physical impact.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're talking real, measurable effects.
And the key player here, inflammation.
You got it.
All right.
So basically, when you're stressed out, your body pumps out this hormone called cortisol.
Cortisol, right. I've heard of that.
Right. And in small doses, cortisol is actually helpful. It's part of your body's natural stress response, fight or flight and all that.
Yeah, yeah. Keeps you alive in a tricky situation.
Exactly. But the problem is, when you're dealing with chronic stress, it means your cortisol levels are constantly elevated. And that's when things start to go haywire.
So it's like your body's stuck in this permanent state of, oh, no, there's a tiger about to eat me.
Pretty much. And that constant flood of cortisol can lead to, well, basically a firestorm of inflammation throughout your body.
A firestorm. Okay, that sounds intense.
It is. And your joints, they're right in the line of fire.
Ouch.
It's almost like, think about a car with bad shocks.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Every bump in the road feels way worse.
Oh, yeah. You feel every little thing.
And that's kind of what constant muscle tension from stress does to your joints. It's this constant wear and tear that can really do a number on them over time.
So how does this actually, work in our bodies?
Yeah.
I know one of those articles, How Stress Impacts Joint Health and What You Can Do About It, went into some of the specifics.
Right, yeah. So one of the key things to understand is that cortisol actually interferes with your immune system.
Really?
Yeah. It messes with your immune system's ability to regulate inflammation.
Oh, that's not good.
No, it's not. So basically, instead of putting out the fire, so to speak, your body keeps adding fuel to it.
Oh, man.
And this chronic inflammation, it makes your joints much more susceptible to damage. Think about the cartilage that cushions your joints. It's like the shock absorber in that car analogy we were talking about.
Right.
With prolonged exposure to stress hormones, that cartilage can break down way faster.
And that's where the real problems start.
Exactly. You become much more likely to develop things like osteoarthritis.
Osteoarthritis, that's...
Yeah, it's a leading cause of joint pain and stiffness, especially as people get older.
Okay, so this is all pretty bad news so far. But the articles also talked about ways to combat this, this stress joint connection.
Oh, absolutely. There's definitely things you can do.
Things like meditation and yoga were mentioned a lot.
Yeah.
And full disclosure, I love a good yoga class. But I'll admit, I never really thought of it as like medicine for my joints.
Well, it turns out that these mind-body practices, they can be really powerful tools.
Interesting.
Meditation, for example, has actually been shown to reduce cortisol levels.
Yeah, so it directly tackles that stress hormone.
Yeah, and it can also reduce inflammatory markers in the body.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
And what's even more fascinating, there have been studies that show that meditation can be just as effective as painkillers for some people.
Really? That's incredible. What about yoga?
Yoga, with its focus on stretching and controlled breathing, can really help to improve flexibility, which is great for your joints. And it also helps to reduce muscle tension, which, as we talked about, can really wreak havoc on your joints.
Yeah, that's all starting to connect now.
They're all connected, yeah.
Lowering those stress hormones seems to be, the key here.
Yeah.
But, I have to push back a little bit. Can simple things like meditation and yoga really make a difference if you're already dealing with chronic pain?
That's a great question. And, it's important to be realistic. We're talking about managing stress's impact on your joints, not like magically erasing years of damage. But by incorporating these practices into your life, you're giving your body a fighting chance to heal and to better manage those inflammatory responses.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've covered the mind, but the articles also talk a lot about diet.
Oh, yeah. Diet is huge.
Can what we eat really help our joints when we're stressed out?
Absolutely. Think of it this way. Chronic inflammation is like a fire in your body.
Okay, I like this analogy.
An anti-inflammatory diet that's like pouring water on that fire.
So what are some of the best firefighters we can be eating?
Well, foods that are rich in omega-3 fatty acids are incredible for fighting inflammation.
Omega-3s, right. Where do you find those?
You find them in things like fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, things like that. Also, walnuts, flax seeds, chia seeds, those are all great sources.
Got it. So load up on the good fats.
Exactly. On the other hand, things like processed foods, sugar, unhealthy fats, those are like gasoline on the fire.
Yolks. Okay, so it's not just about what we eat, but also what we avoid.
Exactly. It's about making conscious choices about what you're putting into your body.
The articles also mention turmeric and ginger as being really good for joint health. What makes those so special?
So turmeric contains this compound called curcumin. And curcumin is a potent anti-inflammatory. Think of it like a specialized fire extinguisher. It directly targets those inflammatory pathways.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And ginger works in a similar way. It's really no wonder that these spices have been used in traditional medicine for centuries to treat inflammation and pain.
I never realized how much our food choices could actually fuel joint inflammation. But what about supplements? I know the articles mentioned a few. Are they worth considering?
Yeah, so supplements like curcumin and fish oil, they can definitely be beneficial, but it's always, always best to talk to your doctor first.
Yeah, always a good idea.
They can assess your individual needs and make sure you're getting the right dosage, and they can also check for any potential interactions with other medications you might be taking.
Makes sense. Okay, so we've tackled the mind with meditation and yoga. We've talked about diet and what to eat and what to avoid. But what about other everyday habits? The articles also highlighted sleep and exercise, right?
Absolutely. Those are crucial.
So tell me about sleep.
Sleep is like hitting the reset button for your body. It's when your body can repair the damage caused by stress. It reduces inflammation. It basically gives your whole system a chance to recharge.
Yeah, I definitely feel better after a good night's sleep. But how much sleep are we talking about?
You want to aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep each night.
Okay, so make sleep a priority. What about exercise?
When it comes to your joints, low-impact activities are your best bet. Things like swimming, walking, cycling.
Got it. So nothing too intense.
Not necessarily, no. These activities, they strengthen the muscles that support your joints without putting excessive stress on them.
So it's about finding that balance between strengthening and protecting your joints.
Exactly.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground today. We've gone from the science of stress to practical tips for keeping our joints healthy. But before we wrap up, any final thoughts for our listeners?
You know, this all comes back to the idea that our bodies are interconnected systems. Mental, physical, emotional, they all impact each other. And this research really suggests that viewing our bodies this way, as these interconnected systems, is crucial for overall health.
That's a powerful idea.
So I would say to everyone listening, where might you be overlooking these connections in your own life?
That's such a great question for all of us to ponder. Until next time, keep exploring these connections, keep learning, and take good care of yourselves.
See you next time.